Imagine this. You're 20,000 years in the past. The sun just disappeared below the horizon. In minutes, not hours, minutes, the temperature will drop 30 degrees. You're standing outside a cave entrance. Behind you, flickering firelight. Ahead of you, total darkness. And in that darkness, eyes. Watching. Waiting. You are not the apex predator. Not even close. Cave lions hunt at night. Saber-toothed cats ambush in darkness. Giant short-faced bears, standing 14 feet tall, can smell you from a mile away. And they're hungry. They're always hungry. So here's the question that should keep you up at night. How did Ice Age humans survive closing their eyes? How did they not become midnight snacks for the deadliest predators Earth has ever seen? Because here's the thing, they had to sleep. Every single night. For hours. Completely vulnerable. Yet somehow, against impossible odds, they lived. We're about to uncover why. Let's set the scene properly. This isn't your camping trip to Yellowstone. The last ice age peaked around 20,000 years ago. Temperatures averaged 10 to 20 degrees Celsius colder than today. Glaciers, some over 2 miles thick, covered most of Europe and North America. The landscape? Brutal, unforgiving, lethal. But cold wasn't the only killer. Let me introduce you to your neighbors. The steppe lion, bigger than any lion alive today. Nocturnal hunters who track prey deep into caves, even 800 meters from the entrance. Saber-toothed cats with 4-inch fangs designed to pierce through thick hide and crack bones. Giant short-faced bears that could run 40 miles per hour and weighed over a ton. And here's what really should terrify you. They ate humans. In 2016, archaeologists in Morocco found a human femur covered in carnivore bite marks and tooth pits. Not scavenged after death. Hunted. Humans weren't top of the food chain. We were on the menu. Now add this. Ice Age humans were diurnal. We depended on vision. Our eyes needed light. When the sun set, we became nearly blind. But the predators? They were built for darkness. Better night vision. Superior hearing. Incredible sense of smell. While we fumbled in blackness, they hunted with surgical precision. Think about that. Every single night, for thousands of years, our ancestors closed their eyes in a world designed to kill them. They had no locks, no walls, no weapons that could stop a charging cave bear. Just animal hides, sharpened sticks, and fire. So why aren't we extinct? The answer isn't what you'd expect. It's not bigger weapons or stronger bodies. It's something far more elegant, far more brilliant. Our ancestors engineered a survival system so sophisticated that modern hunter-gatherers still use it today. A system involving fire, architecture, social structure, and the human sleep cycle itself. Let's start with the foundation, shelter. Not just any shelter, engineered fortresses that transformed death traps into survival zones. Archaeological evidence shows Ice Age humans were master architects. They didn't just find caves and huddle inside. They modified them extensively. Rock shelters were weatherproofed with large animal hides draped from overhangs, essentially windbreaks that stopped piercing Arctic winds. Inside these shelters, they built internal tent-like structures using wooden poles covered with sewn hides. Everything was positioned around a blazing hearth strategically placed to reflect heat and light off the rock walls. This created a microclimate, a warm pocket of survival in a frozen wasteland. The temperature inside could be 30 degrees warmer than outside. And critically, the firelight extended human vision into the darkness. But what about summer when they moved to open plains? Ice Age humans built dome-shaped huts partially dug into the earth for insulation. The framework? Mammoth bones. They constructed entire houses from the skeletons of animals they'd hunted or scavenged. A latticework of massive bones and tusks, then covered with sawed or animal hides. These weren't crude tents. These were sophisticated dwellings occupied for months, engineered to withstand brutal conditions. Sewn hides created weatherproof barriers. The partial underground position provided earth insulation. And again, always the central fire. Fire. This deserves its own moment. Fire wasn't just warmth. It was survival itself. It cooked frozen meat, rendering fat for crucial calories. It sterilized tools. It dried soaked clothing. It extended daylight during those endless polar nights. And most critically for our story, it protected against nocturnal predators. Predators fear fire. Always have. That flickering barrier of heat and light created a no-go zone. But here's the problem. Fire dies. Keeping a flame alive in sub-zero temperatures wasn't easy. Ice Age humans had to carefully tend their fires constantly. They carried embers when they moved camps. They stored dry fuel inside shelters. Flint and pyrite for sparking fires were treasured like gold. Because if the fire died during the night, so might you. So they built shelters that trapped heat. They maintained fires religiously. But here's what really blows my mind. That still wasn't enough. Because eventually, everyone needs to sleep. This is where human biology did something extraordinary. And we didn't even realize it until 2017, when researchers studied the Hadza people, modern hunter-gatherers in Tanzania, who still live exactly like our Ice Age ancestors. They discovered something shocking. Humans naturally sleep in mismatched patterns based on age. Elderly people enter lighter sleep stages and wake frequently. Young adults cycle through deeper sleep but wake periodically. Children sleep heavily but on different schedules. When you put a multi-generational group together, there's always someone awake. The research was stunning. In any given moment, over 1/3 of the group was alert or dozing very lightly, light enough to respond to threats. And that's just counting healthy adults, not children, sick, or injured members who might also be awake. The Hadza don't post sentinels. They don't need to. Their mismatched sleep patterns do it automatically. Quick question for you. Have you ever felt like your bad sleep was actually a problem? Drop a comment if you're someone who wakes up at 3 a.m. and can't fall back asleep. Because here's the thing, you might not be broken. You might be evolutionarily adapted to be the night watch. Seriously, let me know in the comments. Think about that. How many people today complain about waking at 3 a.m.? Doctors call it a sleep disorder. But maybe it's not a disorder at all. Maybe it's an evolutionary relic, your body responding to an ancient need for someone to watch through the darkest hours. But Ice Age humans didn't just rely on natural sleep patterns. They engineered their sleeping arrangements. Two-person sleeping bags made of sheepskin and hides, because shared body heat could mean the difference between life and death. Sleeping positions arranged in concentric circles around the fire. Vulnerable members, children, elderly, injured, closest to warmth and light, stronger adults on the perimeter. And here's the brilliant part. They chose sleeping locations deep inside caves or shelters, not at the entrance. Why? Because they knew predators hunted there. Cave bear hibernation areas, for example, were found far from cave entrances, carefully chosen for protection against large predators who stalked the openings. The evidence is clear. Steppe lions hunted cave bears 800 meters deep into caves while the bears hibernated. These weren't timid animals. But humans? They had fire. They had wakefulness. They had weapons within arm's reach. They had strategic positioning. A sleeping human group wasn't helpless prey. It was a defended fortress. And if something did approach, the person awake could raise an alarm. Wake the others. Feed the fire. Grab weapons. The predators suddenly faced not one vulnerable target, but an organized, fire-wielding, weapon-equipped group of defenders. It wasn't luck. It was system design. Multi-layered defense that turned the most vulnerable time, sleep, into survivable hours. But here's what truly separated humans from every other species. We didn't just survive the Ice Age. We thrived. While Neanderthals vanished and megafauna went extinct, Homo sapiens spread across continents. Why? Because we had something no predator could match: social cooperation and cultural knowledge. We shared information. We told stories. We transmitted survival strategies across generations. Knowledge about weather patterns, animal migrations, edible plants, shelter construction, fire maintenance, all preserved and passed down through storytelling, dance, and art. The cave paintings at Lascaux and Chauvet in France aren't just art. They're encyclopedias. Modern wildlife biologists can look at those paintings and tell you what season it was based on the animal's hide and skin appearance. These people knew their environment with terrifying precision, and they innovated relentlessly. Tool-making leaped forward during the Ice Age. Sophisticated stone blades, spear throwers that increased hunting range, bone needles for sewing weatherproof clothing. Every innovation was shared, improved, passed on. Predators had claws and teeth. Humans had cumulative knowledge. And here's the kicker: humans were adaptable in ways predators weren't. Cave lions needed specific territories and prey. Saber-toothed cats required forest cover. Giant bears needed massive food supplies. But humans? They adjusted. They moved. They changed their diet, their shelters, their strategies based on conditions. When ice advanced, they migrated. When prey animals shifted, they followed. When one shelter became dangerous, they built another. This flexibility, this ability to modify their environment and behavior, meant that when conditions changed, humans survived while rigid specialists died out. And remember that sleep pattern advantage? That's only possible in multi-generational groups. Living with grandparents, children, young adults all together meant diversity in sleep cycles. It meant accumulated knowledge from elders. It meant extra hands for fire tending, shelter building, child watching. This is why we survived. Not stronger muscles, not bigger teeth. An interconnected system of shelter, fire, cooperation, and evolutionary sleep patterns that turned our greatest vulnerability into manageable risk. The fact that Hadza people in 2017 still sleep the same way our Ice Age ancestors did tells you something profound. This system worked perfectly. It didn't need improvement. 20,000 years later, when humans can choose any sleeping arrangement, traditional hunter-gatherers naturally organize exactly like their prehistoric ancestors. And maybe, just maybe, our modern sleep problems aren't problems at all. We've stripped away the natural variation. We expect everyone to sleep the same way, the same hours, in individual rooms with no fire, no multi-generational groups, no purpose for those who wake at odd hours. Another question: what time do you naturally wake up without an alarm? Are you a 5 a.m. person or a 9 a.m. person? Honest answers in the comments. I'm genuinely curious if we see different chronotypes watching this. Modern genetic studies reveal we carry Ice Age human DNA in every cell. Some of us have Neanderthal genes that improved immune response to cold. Others have adaptations to high altitude or extreme temperatures. We're literally built from survivors, people who made it through the deadliest epoch in human history. They didn't survive by accident. They survived through brilliance, through cooperation, through engineering systems that transformed vulnerability into strength. So the next time you can't sleep at 3 a.m., remember, you're not broken. You're descended from the night watch, from the people who kept the fire burning, from the ones who stayed alert while others rested, from the survivors who turned the deadliest nights in Earth's history into just another challenge to overcome. We didn't die in our sleep because we were never truly asleep. Not all of us. Not at once. Never helpless. And that's how humans survived the Ice Age. If you learned something new today, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into human survival mysteries. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.